President Joe Biden and also Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. This is the first time since President Biden has taken office that the two have held this bilateral meeting virtually. And during the meeting, Joe Biden declared that the United States is no greater friend than Canada. And with this, he set the tone for the virtual meeting. Now, despite being physically apart, both leaders went out of their way to show that the two neighboring nations were back to their traditional close relationship after the turbulent years of the Trump era.
The United States has no closer friend than Canada. That's why you were my first call as president, my first bilateral meeting, and of course, my vice president spent some time living up in Montreal for high school, and so our channel of communication are wide open. As you know, we have a robust agenda today, and we're all best served when the United States and Canada work together and lead together in close coordination on a full range of issues we're going to discuss. COVID-19, economic recovery, climate change, refugees and migration, fighting for our democratic values on a global stage, and strengthening our own democracies at home.
Meanwhile, Justin Trudeau thanked Biden for putting the United States back into the Paris Climate Accord and said that they would actually be able to work together to get through the pandemic. However, Canada is also looking forward to a more predictable behavior from its neighbor, and Biden has already introduced a new source of friction by cancelling the cross-border Keystone XL pipeline project due to environmental concerns. Now, neither of the leaders has commented on the issue during the briefing.
Lots of things to talk about. Obviously, COVID and how we're going to keep our citizens safe is top of mind. But we're also going to dig into the recovery, how we move forward on creating good jobs for Canadians and Americans, strengthening the middle class, helping those working hard to join it. As we move forward, there's a lot to rebuild. We're also going to talk about climate change, and thank you again for stepping up in such a big way on tackling climate change. U.S. leadership has been sorely missed over the past years, and I have to say, as we're preparing the joint rollout and communique from this one, it's nice when the Americans are not pulling out all references to climate change and instead adding them in. So we're really excited to be working with you on that. Lots more to do.
Now, Biden and Trudeau said that they addressed several mutual priorities, including that of climate change and also revving up the North American economy. They also waded into the pretty prickly issue of competing with China on global trade and on Beijing's continued detention of two Canadian nationals. And also present in the meeting were the U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, and also the National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, along with their Canadian counterparts. All right, my colleague Jagriti Dave is still with us for this story. So, Jagriti, this was an interesting, very first bilateral meeting between President Biden and the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and this is likely to set the tone for the relationship between the United States and Canada in the coming years.
Yeah, I think so. I think despite what was a bit of a rocky start, as you say, with Joe Biden withdrawing the authorization of the Keystone pipeline, which at the time Justin Trudeau's office said expressed disappointment in that decision. Despite that, there was no mention of that in this meeting. It was all smiles and all friendship and all talk of restoring the warm US-Canada relations, which had really undergone a bit of a cooling under Donald Trump. In that clip that you played of Justin Trudeau saying that he welcomed the US's efforts on climate change, saying the US leadership has been sorely missed over the past years. It was not a very subtle swipe at Joe Biden's predecessor. So I think, this is Joe Biden when he goes out. He was talking at the G7. He was talking at the Munich Security Conference last week. And all of this is really Joe Biden going out there and showing that America is back, America is on the global stage, and America is restoring its friendships with its traditional allies.
Absolutely, indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Jagriti Dave, for joining us and getting us all those updates there. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.